Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Crank Addict, and this is the channel for crank addicts like me and hopefully like you. Today we are going to have a little retrospective look at the Chris Craft Commander 410 that we recently purchased. I've had quite a few comments that people wanted to see more of the interior. They're interested in the project as a whole. I'm not really into boat projects, but I'm going to put this stuff out there just for you guys. So let's check this out real quick. So we purchased this boat about a month ago. Not running. Hasn't run in 10 years, but we got both 454 engines up and running. And I'm trying to get this boat ready for spring break, which is only like a week or two away. I don't think we're going to make it. But we've already done a lot of stuff to this. So let me get on the computer and I'll bring up some photos and show you kind of where we started, and we'll show you what we're at right now. Alright guys, welcome back. This is the Commander 410 as we bought it. You can see that it has carpet all over the rear deck area here, and the teak woodwork is not looking so good. This console by the helm is pretty worn and faded, as well as the door that leads down to the galley. And this is a plywood, but it has a teak veneer on it. Here, looking toward the aft of the boat, you can see a little bit of the teak railing that goes around, as well as the teak foot plate or toe plate, something like that, that goes around underneath there. And from this view, it looks very gray. So this teak has not been treated in a long time. In fact, the poor, I'm guessing pine that's on that bench actually matches the teak pretty well right now, which is not correct. Who knows? Anyway, the previous owner took that bench with them, so I'm not sure if that was a teak bench or pine or what, but it actually matches pretty well right now. Go figure. On the inside, you can see the wood looks much more nice. Most of this is teak veneer, but the corner trim as well as the cabinet doors are solid teak. And that's how the teak is supposed to look when it's decently taken care of. So our plans are to remove this center island, really I guess a peninsula. We're going to get rid of this peninsula, open up the whole galley area so it makes a more friendly entertainment area. There's not going to be a whole lot of cooking on this boat, and I think the extra room will be beneficial for parties. This is a look from the galley into the aft cabin, and you can see that a lot of the finish has been removed. The previous owner was trying to remodel this, and he installed some tongue and groove beadboard on the stairwell going down to the cabin. But you can see we're solely lacking for carpet. We need some kind of wall treatment. That little cabinet door there is solid teak. That's kind of nice. The handrail is solid teak. So that's what teak is supposed to look like. Okay guys, well you saw how gray and ugly the teak was on this boat originally. This is a 1980 boat. Teak was very popular 40 years ago. And I did a little bit of research on YouTube, but I didn't like the results of how everybody was treating teak. Okay? I'll tell you what we did, and you can look at the results yourself. So, we started out with a regular piece of teak. This is one from the upstairs helm, the flybridge. Okay. And we sanded this thing down with first, 100?
100.
And we went back over it with 220.
220, yes.
And then Christina put down a couple of layers of the teak oil. I like to use the Helmsman teak oil. I think the Helmsman teak oil is a little nicer, a little thicker than the other oils. And I used it on my wake setter on the swim platform, and it turned out great. Anyway, this is 1 coat of teak oil on here, and it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice. But if you want to improve upon that, check out this. This is 1 coat of teak oil. Then Christina went back over here, sanded it again with what, 220? 220 again. And then she applied a second thick layer of teak oil on it. I mean, it's so thick that it wants to run. So as it starts to set, you set to kind of dab off all the runs and the sags as it's setting. But you end up with this beautiful shiny look. It looks like it's been epoxied, but it's not. That's all teak oil. Yeah, I kid you not. This is not epoxy. This is teak oil. So yeah, very nice result. We did the railing as well as the toe boards all the way around, and it just turned out great.
We did?
Okay, Christina did the railing and all the toe boards, and it turned out great.
Yeah. That's better.
Up here, we were told we had a leak on the anchor. So first we figured it was the windlass, and we pulled this up and resealed it using some, automotive grade silicone, just being real careful not to make a mess. But it didn't look that bad really. So we started investigating the anchor support. I'm not even sure what you call that part of the windlass. And this wood was all totally rotten in here. So I threw some soft wax around the edges, dug out all the rotted wood, all the rotted teak, and then we filled it with epoxy. Now on a boat that's rocking back and forth, it's kind of hard to get it level. But you can actually see the epoxy shifting around as the boat moves. But it's set for 24 hours now, so we're going to pull out these pieces of rubber plugs. Look at that. That's where the bolts are going to go for the windlass. And I'm just going to sand this thing smooth and reseal it. So, part of the original problem is that whoever put this on used the wrong bolts. If you look here, we have recessed areas here. They had a bolt with just a little cap screw on top, lots of water leakage. So we're going to be sealing this thing all around the bolt holes, and this is not going to leak anymore. Done. Pretty shiny. You gonna show some of your stainless work? Alright, this is the lower helm that we've been working on as well. We've got this thing popped up right now because remember we had that little wiring issue with the starboard engine. And Christina went over these and we pulled these panels off, sanded them, 2 coats of teak oil, and they're looking nice. Before we reinstalled them, we took a little stainless polish, and we were using this Perfect Sink stainless cleaner here. It's supposed to remove rust, and it did a really good job of cleaning up all the hardware. We even polished the screws on the back, so you can see all the screws down here are nice and shiny. That's what we're working on. Now I'm still not really happy with these helm controls here. We've got a lot of pitting, and so I'm guessing this is probably chrome plated steel instead of brass. So don't think there's any good way to clean that up. We'll see. We'll see. All right.
And here is our door. And look at the shiny chrome.
That's a stainless, actually.
Oh, stainless.
Yeah, we
okay.
polished all the stainless.
Very
A lot of glare from the outside light.
But this is our door. Some areas
It's really nice, beautiful.
we need to replace this teak over here because some areas have gone through. It's too old, I think.
Yeah.
This needs a little more oil.
Yeah, this panel here, yeah, has a couple of areas where we sanded through. This is just teak veneer and it's not solid teak. So yeah, when you're sanding on this stuff here, you gotta be really careful not to burn through. And so we'll be replacing some of that veneer later on with some real teak. All right, so going down inside, we've only got one layer of oil on the hatch. But look what we're doing down here. Wow. Let me turn the light on here. There we go, more light. All right, so looking at the old video, the old pictures, you can see how this boat was originally set up. We pulled out the stove and the fridge, and they're sitting over there now. And our goal is to raise the floor up even with the rest of the galley here. We're making pretty good headway, but the screws are really tough to get out, and we've got a few hoses we need to move around still. So every time, well not every time, but more times than not, when you remove one of these brass screws, you gotta get out a sharp knife or a small screwdriver, clean out the crosshairs, and then using a good new screwdriver with a nice carbide bit, you can get in there, put some pressure on there, and just slowly work it back and forth until you can get that screw out of there. That's a long process, and it's really tough when you're backed up against a corner or a side or something like that. But we finally got them all out of here. It took a few hours to get those screws out. And now we need to remove this last piece of wood here. This is a evacuation pipe for the poop tank. It's already disconnected, but I'm going to try to run the hose through so we can get this piece out in one piece. And this is a bilge hose there, and I think that's just screwed onto the deck down underneath, so that'll come out pretty easy. This is going to take a little bit more work. So at this point, I got to open up the engine compartment, crawl down underneath, start undoing a few hoses, and we'll see if we can get the rest of this thing out of here. I think this piece is ready to come up now. Let's see if I missed any screws or not. Now, this insulation here is going to be stapled to the bottom of here. And they do that from the factory from below, so you just have to pop those staples loose as you pull it up. Little cracking noises here. One issue we're having is to fill in the gaps around the hole. The factory screwed in some small pieces of wood on the back side, and that may be what's holding us up here. The screws, though, are incredibly hard to reach, so we may end up breaking those little pieces of wood.
Remember, we need to pull out.
See what?
We need to pull that one out because that thing is underneath.
Yeah, it's got to come straight out as well. Okay, well, let me see if I can crawl down there and see what I can do here. That is tight. There we go. Ha ha! Under this water line here.
Okay, go.
Okay, so we finally got that floor out. So now we're gonna have to raise all these joists. This bulkhead here we're gonna leave in place, and we're just gonna add to it. That's easy. But none of these were ever attached to the fiberglass, so we're gonna try to figure out how to hook them up at a higher level. And then once we get all these joist, reset, tab, whatever we need to do to them. Then we'll lay down some more plywood. That was a lot of work. One water. We were looking at this truss system, and we have decided that we're going to be leaving these outer pieces of support attached to this vertical piece. I think this vertical piece gives a lot of structural rigidity to the floor, so we're going to leave that in there. This piece here has two supports going down to the floor below, so we're going to leave this piece in there. We'll be removing the cross braces, keeping the bulkhead. So now it's just a matter of me taking some measurements so I can replace some of these wood pieces with new wood. Before we put down the plywood on this kitchen area here, we're going to make a little bit more room for the kitchen. This is a closet for the front room, the V-berth, and we don't really need a closet there. This is not an ocean-going vessel. It's a party cruiser for the lake, so we're going to chop out like that much of the closet. So let's get hacking. Here's Johnny! Yeah! Well, that is about it for this video. You can see we did quite a bit of destruction here. We've got tons of room now to get some cabinets back here, a sink, all kinds of good stuff. So this is going to really open up the kitchen area here to the living area, the sitting area of the galley. So I'm pretty excited about this. I'm going to go home with my measurements and start planning the rebuild. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you better do so because the videos are going to keep coming. Thanks for watching.